Okay, so what is one of the interesting, important things that you have to understand about your ego? Now, ego, I'll just quickly go through it. Ego is basically the lower operating system of your psyche. It is the way that we navigate in this world. It's sort of an identity here. It's also quite autonomous in the sense that it seeks to defend itself. It seeks to validate itself, even subconsciously, and so on and so forth. So that's the idea of ego, and probably understand what ego is. I want to talk about a very specific situation that the ego tends to get into, which, if we are not careful, can lead to quite a lot of headache and heartache and stuff like that. Listen, the idea is this. The ego really likes to identify itself with external circumstances. And I'm sure you have noticed this. I mean, this is like this is how we consider, this is what we consider normal. And I mean, it is normal, but you really should become aware of it. The fact of the matter is, ego likes to identify with your goals, with your cash, with your women, partners, and stuff like that. Why does that? It does that, well, because these kind of events, okay, the beneficial events, the negative events, all of that, especially the beneficial ones, what we perceive to be beneficial, are actually like fuel, like food for the ego. So, it's a structure that requires sort of a nurturing as well. This is why we are so easy, we can very, easily get into ideas such as, if I would make more money, then I would feel completely better about myself, and If only I would get laid, or if only I would find love, for someone to love me, and stuff like that. And we perceive most of that to be, like us. But there's a very fine distinction between us, I, and ego, which is me. Ego is me. This is, by the way, the easy way to distinguish the ego. It's me versus I. I is a very non-structural entity. I is the observer. I is like at the highest level, it's basically intent, okay? It's intent. It's like the most broad ideas about you. The ego is the specifics. The ego is I had a bad event then, so now I'm heartbroken, or I succeeded there, I made some money, so now I'm a cool guy, or, I kicked this guy's ass, so that means that I'm a very big man, or anything like that. Now, why is that important? I'm going to tell you a very, very subtle point, and I really want you to really concentrate. But the fact of the matter is that when you identify with the ego too much, when you, let your ego identify with any random events in your life, and, it automatically does that. But the problem occurs when we, of course, consider ourselves to be the ego. Why is this problematic? And remember, someone might be going like ego, how it's like you have to overcome ego, I'm not coming from that position. I'm not coming from the position that it's like morally wrong, or like you have to be morally better or stuff like that. I don't care. The only thing that I care about is effectiveness. And listen, this is the most interesting probably thing that I'll tell you in this video. The more, and it's very subtle point, so you have to be very, be aware of the I and the me when considering this. The more you identify with not only your losses, but your victories as well, the more, stuck you are. This is a complete paradox for the ego. The ego cannot handle this idea because it's basically too much. It's the idea that, yes, you made some cash, right? But if you actually stick to the idea too much, you are pretty much diverting your attention from doing new things, basically, and you're kind of stuck in this idea of yourself. Now, it's not as obvious on quote unquote the positive things. It's definitely obvious on the negative things. Like everybody has their heartbreak story or stuff like that. Now, that doesn't mean that I, devalidate it, like that it's invalid. No, it's valid and it's awesome and it's bad and it's good, whatever, Again, I'm not judging anything, but just observe how these kind of stories that we keep telling ourselves become a sort of a anchor. They, simply speaking, they become anchors in our reality. And we don't notice this because it's so natural to assume that, I am this person because this thing has happened to me. But this is actually, this is the ego talking. The ego collects these experiences and labels them as good or bad. It's not, the process itself is a natural one, so you don't need to worry about killing the ego or something like that. If you would do that, by the way, you'd probably become some sort of a monk who can hardly function in real life, so that's not necessary. But it is, if you're seeking higher levels of development, you have to understand that your ego is just a tool, okay? A tool in the sense that it serves a purpose, but it's not you. That's the most important distinction to make. And also the fact that all of your, literally all of your associations, all of your inner stories that you keep telling yourself that, oh, I'm lucky because of this, or oh, I'm unlucky because of that, all of that is anchors. They're literally anchors that are anchoring you to a specific personality, a specific pattern, a specific reality even. So for the, ones who are listening attentively, you might start realizing, but hey, what if I were able to remove the anchors from the negative ones, the negative associations, I could actually basically have a different personality, therefore having a different reality. And yes, exactly. This is where the interesting part comes in. Of course, you have to be careful with the positive ones as well. I mean, we do love the positive ones. It's just so hard not to love victory, or just getting lucky or stuff like that. So negative ones are clear. You want to heal those traumas. You want to understand those things so that you could finally let it go. And until you let it go, this is what happens when people, quote unquote, get old, or quote unquote, grow up, whatever. This is the grown up who, he might be a young adult, even he might be a teenager, but he's no, I am like this and this, no, we don't teach me this shit. I know, I understand, I have experience, this is a person who is literally, in a sense, he is delusional because he is so in his ego. And by the way, of course, by this description, the vast majority of us are delusional. So if you think that I'm stating this, yes, I am stating this. So the vast majority of our civilization is delusional. But that's a topic for another day. So how it serves you right now is just start observing your ego. Start observing how the connections are made to various negative things, but also both positive things. By the way, the reason why it's so important is because this is a tendency that maybe not all people exhibit at the same strength, but all people exhibit it. It's the tendency to really hook on your ego, anchor your ego to very many different things. This is a sort of a side topic, by the way. This is for people who are very empathic or sensitive. These types of people tend to lock on their ego on various different opinions of various different people and various different situations. What this does is, after a certain time, and The people who experience this might understand it, but also other people should consider this as well. What happens is that you have so much energy invested and divided between so many things that, to put it shortly, you don't have any more energy to do anything else. This is why it's important to find these anchors, like remove these anchors, heal these anchors, and so on and so forth. Because the way that you are right now is like you using pretty much all of your energy, okay? So if you want to change something around, like something, radical in your life, you will literally have to say goodbye to certain aspects of you, of your ego, of the me part, okay? So you won't be losing yourself, but you will be losing in a sense, the description of yourself. What this means is that you have to develop an ability to say no, but like no to both people, situations, memories, and even thought forms. Okay? Developing the no is the critical part in understanding the ego's development, and it goes further than that. It's a complex topic. But for now, just start considering how, why are you so attached to certain specific negative ideas, for example, about yourself that you have. And I'm not saying that it's like you can just remove your ideas like that, right? It's not that easy most of the time. But if you start considering this, you can start working with these specific points, that you have or you're having problems with. And in some time, maybe, in days, maybe in weeks, maybe in months, maybe in years, depending on the severity of the situation, you will be able to work through the trauma, because it's all basically trauma-based. The ego development is predominantly trauma-based. You get traumas, therefore you try to compensate for your traumas by becoming a cool dude, or a hot chick, or a popular person, or a famous person, or rich person, stuff like that. So that's the gist of it. I know I am all over the place in this video, but it is a pretty all over the place topic. Now, Too Long Didn't Read version of it. Ego attaches to different ideas. Ego uses up basically all of your energy this way. Therefore, if you want to change yourself, change your reality, you have to find these anchor points in your reality, and you have to heal them, go through them, so that you would be able to let them go. By doing this, you will unlock energy, you'll have free energy, and then you can create different anchors in your ego, in your reality. This is the process of programming your ego, at the same time programming your reality. So it's quite a complex topic. If you are interested, be sure to shoot me a message. You can comment here on YouTube. Dude, subscribe. There's plenty of great content coming. Like the page, like the video if you enjoyed it. Oh, and by the way, you can join my Facebook group on Facebook, so it's a nice platform to discuss things further. So, that's that. Cheers.